There is something deeply reassuring about it. The sense that life continues all around you. The sense that you belong to something larger than yourself. As night settles fully over Detroit, the city reaches a kind of quiet confidence. Not silent, never silent, but calmer, steadier. The day's story is nearly complete. Morning coffee has become evening conversation. Business crowds have become families and friends. Sunlight has become neon. For one full day, we have walked these streets together. And now, beneath the glow of downtown lights, another feeling begins to emerge. A feeling that this world, as permanent as it seems tonight, may not remain exactly this way forever. For a moment, standing here beneath the evening lights, it feels impossible to imagine anything changing. The buildings seem permanent. The crowds seem permanent. The routines seem permanent. Tomorrow morning, the coffee will be poured again. The buses will arrive again. Store doors will open, office lights will glow, and another ordinary day will begin. That is what most people believe. And who could blame them? When you live inside a moment, it feels like it will last forever. But change rarely arrives all at once. It comes quietly, almost politely. A new highway opens beyond the city center. A family moves a little farther from downtown. A new shopping center appears closer to home. One small change by itself means very little. Yet over time, those changes begin to add up. The sidewalks remain busy for years. The stores remain open. The theaters continue glowing after dark. But little by little, some of the habits that built downtown life start to shift elsewhere. People drive past instead of stopping. Shopping trips become shorter. Young people leave for new opportunities in growing suburbs and distant cities. No single day marks the end. No dramatic moment announces that a chapter is closing. That is not how most worlds disappear. They fade gradually, one familiar face at a time, one closed storefront at a time, one changed routine at a time. The people living here in 1964 cannot see the full picture yet. They are busy raising families, building careers, meeting friends for lunch, watching movies on Saturday nights, living their lives. And that may be the most touching part of all. They do not know they are creating memories that future generations will treasure. They do not know that someday people will look at old photographs of these streets and wonder what it felt like to stand here, to hear these sounds, to see these lights, to belong to this moment. Yet that is exactly what happens, not because downtown Detroit vanishes, not because its story ends, but because every place changes, every city evolves, every generation leaves behind a version of the world that exists only in memory. And tonight, as the neon glows above the sidewalks and the city settles into darkness, we find ourselves standing inside one of those memories while it is still alive. Maybe you remember a street like this. It may not have been Detroit. It may have been a small town 1,000 miles away, or a neighborhood in a different city altogether. But perhaps some part of this day feels familiar. The sound of a screen door closing behind you, the smell of fresh coffee drifting onto a sidewalk, the sight of people gathering in places that seemed destined to last forever. Memory works that way. It does not always remember exact addresses. It remembers feelings, a certain light in the late afternoon, a favorite store window, a restaurant where everyone seemed to know each other, a movie theater glowing at the end of the block. The details may change, the feeling remains. Perhaps you remember walking downtown with a parent or grandparent. Maybe you remember carrying shopping bags through crowded streets. Maybe you remember sitting in the back seat of a car while city lights passed across the windows after dark. For a moment, those memories can feel surprisingly close, almost close enough to touch. That is why places like this matter. Not because every building survives, not because every business remains, but because these ordinary places become part of who we are. They shape our routines. They hold our milestones. They quietly witness countless everyday moments that later become treasured memories. And when we revisit them, even decades later, we are not only remembering streets and storefronts, we are remembering people. Conversations, voices, laughter, versions of ourselves that existed in another time. The downtown Detroit of 1964 belongs to history now. Yet in another sense, it never truly leaves. As long as someone remembers the sound of the traffic, the glow of the neon, the comfort of familiar sidewalks, a piece of that world continues to live on. Some places don't survive, but they're never really gone. They remain in old photographs. They remain in family stories. They remain in the memories of people who walked those streets, opened those doors, and lived those ordinary days. And sometimes, for a little while, they return, in the sound of a passing bus, in the glow of a theater marquee, in the smell of fresh coffee drifting through the morning air. Today we spent one full day in downtown Detroit in 1964. We watched the city wake beneath the morning sun. We followed the crowds through the busy afternoon. We stood beneath the neon lights as evening settled over the streets. And together we remembered a world that once felt permanent. Some places don't survive, but they're never really gone. If this journey brought back a memory, leave a comment and share it with us. I'd love to hear about the downtown streets, stores, theaters, or neighborhoods you remember. And if you enjoy walking back into these forgotten times, subscribe to The Way We Were so you don't miss the next journey. Until then, I'll leave you with one question. If you could spend one more ordinary day in any place from your past, where would you go? A chance to breathe, a chance to connect. We pass large display windows filled with summer fashions, household appliances, and shiny new products. Downtown shopping is still an experience in 1964. Many families travel into the city specifically to browse stores they cannot find elsewhere. You can feel that excitement, children. Press close to the glass, parents stop to admire new merchandise, store employees straighten displays with careful attention. Everything seems polished, everything seems hopeful. The city seems hopeful. The city is showing its best face. Traffic moves steadily through the streets. A line of cars waits patiently at an intersection. Buses continue their routes. Drivers lean an arm from open windows, enjoying the warm weather. Above us, office windows reflect drifting clouds. Below them, the sidewalks remain crowded. For a moment, it feels as though downtown Detroit has reached its fullest expression. This is what many people imagine when they think of a thriving American city. Busy stores, packed sidewalks, neighbors crossing paths throughout the day. The feeling that everything you need is close by. And perhaps that feeling matters most, because cities are not only buildings, they are routines. They are familiar faces. They are the places where ordinary lives overlap. If you grew up in this era, you remember this feeling. The sense that downtown was the center of everything. The place where errands became conversations, where shopping became an afternoon, where a simple walk could fill an entire day with small discoveries. As the lunch crowds begin to thin, workers slowly return to their offices. Storefronts remain busy, but the rhythm changes once again. The bright rush of midday softens. The sun begins its slow journey westward. Longer shadows start to appear between the buildings. The city is still active, still confident, still alive with possibility. But somewhere beyond the busy streets, homes are waiting. Families are moving through their own routines. The workday is pushing toward its final hours, and before long, the afternoon will carry us there. By mid-afternoon, the pace ceases just a little. The sidewalks are still busy, but the rush of lunch hour has passed. The city settles into a steadier rhythm. The sunlight has changed too. It feels warmer now, softer somehow, casting a golden glow across the streets and storefronts. The workday continues inside office buildings. Typewriters click steadily across rows of desks. Telephones ring. Papers move from hand to hand. Meetings begin and end behind closed doors. Outside, deliveries continue. A truck backs carefully into an alley. A shop owner carries boxes through a side entrance. A mechanic wipes his hands on a rag before returning to work. Life moves forward one task at a time. Nothing dramatic, nothing extraordinary. Just the countless small efforts that keep a city running. We walk past a row of businesses where familiar faces appear in familiar places. The same barber stands near his doorway. The same cashier greets customers as they enter. The same newsstand owner arranges magazines beneath a striped awning. Routine creates its own comfort. People know where they belong. People know what comes next, and there is something reassuring about that. The sounds are different now. The morning urgency has faded. The city hums instead of rushes. Traffic flows more smoothly. Conversations seem calmer. Somewhere a radio drifts from an open window, carried briefly on a warm breeze before disappearing again. You can almost imagine the neighborhoods beyond downtown. Children finishing their last lessons at school. Parents thinking about supper. Families beginning to gather themselves back together after another ordinary day. In 1964, many Detroit households have only one television set, often becoming the center of family evenings once everyone returns home. But that moment is still ahead. For now, the day belongs to work and waiting. We pass a department store entrance where shoppers come and go carrying carefully wrapped packages. A young couple studies a display window. An elderly man pauses on a bench watching the crowd pass by. He does not seem in a hurry. Perhaps nowhere important is waiting for him. Or perhaps he simply enjoys sitting here, watching the city move around him. There is value in that too. Not every moment needs a destination. Sometimes it is enough to simply be present. The afternoon sunlight reaches deeper into the streets now. Reflections dance across windows. Brick walls seem warmer in color. The city takes on a gentler appearance than it had at noon, almost relaxed, almost reflective. If you grew up in this era, you remember afternoons like this, not because of one specific event, because of the feeling that the day is stretching comfortably toward evening, the feeling that supper is waiting somewhere, the feeling that familiar faces will soon return home, and that feeling is everywhere around us. A secretary leaves work a little early. A father checks his watch before heading toward the bus stop. A mother finishes shopping before starting her trip home. Each person is carrying their own story through the city. Different lives, different destinations. Yet for a brief moment, all of them share these same sidewalks, the same afternoon sunlight, the same streets, the same city. That shared experience gives downtown its character, its warmth, its sense of belonging. As the hours pass, shadows begin to lengthen across the pavement. The bright energy of midday slowly gives way to something quieter. Office windows catch the lowering sun. Store lights begin to glow faintly behind glass. The workday is nearing its end. Cars will soon fill the streets again. Families will gather. Restaurants will prepare for evening customers. And downtown Detroit will reveal another side of itself, one illuminated not by sunlight, but by the lights that begin to shine after dark. By evening, the city feels different again. The sunlight slips lower behind the buildings, and a softer glow settles across downtown Detroit. The sharp edges of the afternoon fade. Windows catch the last traces of daylight. Long shadows stretch across the sidewalks before quietly disappearing. The workday is ending. Office doors open. Workers step outside carrying briefcases and folded newspapers. Buses arrive to collect passengers heading home. Cars fill the streets once more, their headlights beginning to flicker on as daylight slowly retreats. The city exhales. The urgency of business hours drifts away. Something gentler takes its place. A warm breeze moves between the buildings. Storefront lights brighten one by one. Neon signs hum softly above restaurants, theaters, and corner businesses. Their colorful reflections shimmer on polished car roofs and display windows. Downtown is no longer focused on work. Now it is focused on living. Couples stroll along the sidewalks without rushing. Friends meet for dinner. Families finish errands before heading home. The streets remain busy, but the feeling has changed. People seem more relaxed now, more present. The scent of supper fills the air. Steaks sizzle behind restaurant doors. Fresh bread emerges from ovens. Coffee is still brewing, though many are choosing pie or dessert instead. Laughter spills from open doorways. Music drifts from radios. For a moment, the city feels almost festive, not because anything special is happening, because ordinary life can feel beautiful. When shared by enough people, the theater marquees begin to glow brighter as darkness approaches. Their lights shine against the deepening sky. Moviegoers gather near entrances. Conversations fill the sidewalks. Ticket windows stay busy. In 1964, downtown movie palaces remain popular evening destinations, drawing families, couples, and groups of friends into the heart of the city after work. You can feel that excitement. A young couple pauses beneath a marquee. Teenagers gather near a corner drugstore. Parents lead children toward an evening show. Small moments. Simple moments. Yet they carry a kind of magic, the kind we rarely notice while it is happening. The sky darkens further. Streetlights come alive. The city becomes a landscape of glowing signs, illuminated windows, and moving headlights. Reflections ripple across glass and chrome. Every block seems touched by light, and still the sidewalks remain active. A man adjusts his hat before entering a restaurant. A waitress begins another shift. Friends stand talking a little longer than they intended. No one seems eager for the night to end. Perhaps because evenings hold possibilities that daytime cannot. The work is finished. Responsibilities can wait until morning. For a few hours, people simply enjoy where they are. If you grew up in this era, you remember these lights. The neon glow reflected in storefront windows, the movie marquees shining against the darkness, the comforting feeling that downtown was still awake long after the sun had gone down. The screen door creaks softly as its wings shut behind us. For a moment, that's all we hear. Then the city begins to wake. Somewhere down the block, a delivery truck rattles over a rough patch of pavement. A distant horn echoes between tall buildings. The sound drifts through the cool morning air and fades again. The sunlight is still, low. Its lips between rows of brick storefronts and stretches long shadows across the sidewalk. The streets feel bigger at this hour, quieter, as if the city belongs only to the people already awake. You can smell fresh coffee drifting from a nearby diner. The scent hangs in the air alongside gasoline, warm bread, and the faint trace of last night's rain. It is a smell that belongs to downtown Detroit in 1964. We stand at the edge of a busy American city, but the rush has not arrived yet. The traffic lights blink patiently above nearly empty intersections. Newspaper bundles wait on corners. Shopkeepers unlock doors. A street sweeper hums along the curb, brushing away yesterday before most people have even opened their eyes. The buildings rise proudly around us. Many have stood here for decades. Their stone faces catch the morning light and glow softly against the blue sky. Office windows slowly brighten floor by floor as workers begin another ordinary day. Nothing about this moment feels historic. No one pauses to admire it. No one imagines people will someday look back and wonder what it was like. It is simply Tuesday morning. A regular day, a city doing what it has always done. And that is what makes it special. Because right now, downtown Detroit is not a memory. It is alive. The buses are beginning to roll. The coffee is hot. The sidewalks are filling. And as the city stretches awake beneath the morning sun, we step forward into a day that still feels endless. We fall into step with the city as the morning grows brighter. The streets are waking faster now. More cars move through the intersections. More footsteps echo along the sidewalks. Storefront windows catch the sunlight and throw it back in flashes of gold. And you and I are going to stay here. Not for a moment, not for a photograph, for a full day. We will watch the city open its eyes in the morning. We will follow the crowds through the busiest hours. We will see the afternoon settle over homes and workplaces. And when the neon signs begin to glow, we will still be here, walking beneath the lights as night arrives. For now, though, none of that has happened yet. The day still feels full of possibility. In 1964, Detroit is one of America's great industrial cities. Hundreds of thousands of people move through downtown every week, filling offices, stores, theaters, restaurants, and busy sidewalks. But standing here, you would never think about numbers. You would notice faces, the man carrying a folded newspaper beneath his arm, the woman hurrying toward work in polished shoes, the couple stepping into a corner. Before the morning rush begins, everyone seems to know where they are going. The city moves with quiet confidence. Yet there is something else here too. Something almost impossible to see while it is happening. Behind the busy streets and glowing storefronts, small changes have already begun. New roads are stretching farther from downtown. Families are looking toward newer neighborhoods. Habits are slowly changing. Most people hardly notice. Why would they? The city feels permanent. The buildings feel permanent. The crowds feel permanent. But as we spend this day together, we will catch small glimpses of a world standing at the edge of change, not disappearing today, not tomorrow, just beginning to drift toward memory. If you enjoy walking back into these forgotten times, consider subscribing to The Way We Were so you don't miss the next journey. For now, the morning is waiting, the coffee cups are filling, the buses are arriving, and an ordinary day in downtown Detroit is about to begin. The city is fully awake now. The quiet of dawn has slipped away, replaced by a steady rhythm of engines, footsteps, and distant conversation. Downtown Detroit seems to breathe a little faster with every passing minute. Cars roll along Woodward Avenue, their chrome catching the sunlight. Buses pause at busy corners, doors folding open with a familiar hiss. Men in pressed shirts and narrow ties move with purpose toward office buildings. Women carry handbags and shopping bags as they weave through the growing crowd. The sidewalks are becoming rivers of motion. Yet nothing feels rushed. People are busy, certainly. But there is still time for small moments, a greeting exchanged between neighbors, a wave from a shopkeeper, a brief stop to read the morning headlines displayed outside a newsstand. The city feels connected. You can almost sense invisible threads linking everyone together. The smell of coffee follows us down the block inside diners. Waitresses balance plates with practiced ease. Coffee cups clink against saucers. A radio somewhere behind the counter plays softly beneath the murmur of conversation. Breakfast is ending for some. The workday is beginning for others. Everyone seems to be entering the same story from different directions. Sunlight climbs higher between the buildings. The shadows that stretched across the sidewalks earlier are shrinking now. Office hours reflect pieces of sky in their windows. Storefront displays sparkle beneath freshly cleaned glass. A shoe store arranges its display. A jewelry shop unlocks its front door. A bookstore places new titles near the entrance. The city is opening itself one business at a time. In 1964, many downtown department stores still serve as gathering places as much as shopping destinations. People come to buy things, of course, but they also come simply to be part of the life of the city. And life is everywhere this morning. We pass a barber sweeping yesterday's hair from the floor. A delivery driver wheels stacked boxes through a side entrance. An office worker pauses to light a cigarette before disappearing inside a tall building. None of these moments seem important. Yet together they create something unforgettable. The feeling of a city functioning exactly as it should. A city confident in itself. A city that believes tomorrow will look much like today. The traffic grows heavier. The sounds overlap now. Engines hum. Brakes squeak. Conversations drift past in fragments. A distant siren briefly cuts through everything before fading into the background once again. And somehow it all works. Nothing feels chaotic. The sounds blend into a kind of urban music. If you grew up in this era, you remember this sound, not one specific noise, the whole mixture of them. The sound of a downtown district beginning its day. As the morning continues, workers disappear into offices. Secretaries settle behind desks. Elevators carry people toward higher floors. Typewriters begin their steady clatter. Behind thousands of windows, the day is already underway. Outside, the streets remain alive. A young boy helps deliver newspapers. An older couple strolls past a storefront display. A businessman checks his watch while waiting for the light to change. Ordinary moments, small moments, the kind that rarely make history books. Yet these are often the memories that stay with us longest. The warmth of sunlight on brick, the smell of coffee drifting through open doors, the familiar faces seen during a daily walk to work, the feeling that the city around you is steady and dependable. For now, downtown Detroit feels exactly that way. Strong, busy, certain of itself. And as the morning settles into its full stride, more people arrive, more doors open, and the streets prepare for the busiest hours still ahead. By noon, the street has changed. The soft pace of morning has given way to something livelier. The sidewalks seem fuller now. Conversations overlap. Store doors swing open and shut without pause. Downtown Detroit feels as though every block is moving at once. The sun stands high above the city. Its light reflects from windows and polished car roofs. The stone and brick buildings that felt cool earlier now hold a gentle warmth. People remove jackets. Sleeves are rolled up. Sunglasses appear. Lunch hour is arriving. And with it comes a different energy. Workers spill from office buildings and spread across downtown. Some head toward diners. Others gather at lunch counters. And drugstores. A few simply find a bench and enjoy a brief break from the workday. Everywhere we look, there is movement. A businessman carries a paper sack filled with lunch. Two secretaries laugh together while crossing the street. A delivery boy balances packages as he slips through the crowd. For an hour or two, the city seems to belong to everyone at once. The smell of food drifts through the air. Fresh hamburgers sizzle on grills. French fries crackle in hot oil. Coffee continues to pour. Somewhere nearby, sweet pastries wait behind glass displays. Even from the sidewalk, you can almost taste them. The restaurants are busy but welcoming. People slide into booths. Waitresses refill coffee cups. Cash registers ring steadily in the background. No one is staying long. Most will soon return to work. But for now, the lunch hour creates its own small world. A pause in the middle of the day.